Welcome to CoJo's Math. I don't need these right now, I can throw them off. And welcome to a new way of learning. It looks like this is what we're going to be doing quite a while, so I'm making all new videos. No old ones. Well, we'll see. There might be one or two that are really good. So what we're focusing on today are percents and fractions. And oh, by the way, we're going to try different places in my house so we get some different perspectives. Right now I'm in the basement of my rec room. Yes, I have a 80-inch screen TV over here, flat screen, that we enjoy, and a desk and everything else, but I'm not going to show you that right now. So we're going to focus on percents and fractions. This is something you should already know. This is basically a review, although some of the types of problems that you'll be doing for your daily work are a little bit challenging. It's how to use this concept of percents to fractions and changing fractions into percents and how to use that. We're gonna now you're gonna know other ways to do this, but you have to learn these methods as well. So the first thing you need to know is that the word percent means per 100. It got erased somehow. It means per 100. So if I say that I have 36%, if I had a 36% win this year, that means out of 100 matches or 100 games, I won 36% of them. That's what you have to assume. When somebody says something out of 100, you're going to think that they won 36% of the games. Now, the first thing you would think is that it's 100 games, because it's a percent is out of 100. However, that's not always the case. You know that. Maybe I only played 50 games, and so I won 36% of 50 games. So therein lies the rub. 100, what represents 100% can be different things. It's not always something that equals 100. If I won 100% of my games, but I only played 15 games this year in basketball, well, that would represent 100%, 15 games. And then my loss record or my win record would be based on 15 games. And this whole lesson is to figure out, well, how do you figure out a percent if it's not out of 100? If the 100% is something that doesn't equal 100, like an almond joy bar, candy bar. If I said I ate 100% of the candy bar, there's 2 pieces in an almond joy candy bar. There's not 100 pieces. So 100% of an almond joy candy bar would be 2 pieces or 2 bars of candy that make up the 100% or the whole candy bar. If I have a jar that holds 25 bouncy balls all the way to the top, and when that jar is full, it's 100% full of 25 bouncy balls. There's not 100 bouncy balls, there's 25 that fill up that jar, and that represents 100%. So I hope you're getting this. If I tell you that our classroom is 100% everybody is in attendance, and we have 16 people in the classroom, that means all 16 people are there, 100% attendance. That if I tell you you went to school and was 100% in attendance, we have 160 days at the end of the year. Not this year, but 160 days. That meant that 160 represents 100% of the days that you could have gone to school and you went to every one of them. So right now we're going to do is we're going to focus on how do you change, how do you write. If I write the 22 and the word percent, there's 2 different ways to write that as a percent. The first thing is you can write it with the percent sign and write 22%, or you can write it as a fraction, 22 over 100. No matter what, if I'm talking about 25 bouncy balls and I have 22% of bouncy balls that are in that jar, I still write it as 22 over 100, not 22 out of 25, because that would be a higher percent. Percent is always written over 100. Okay, let's see how this works, because this is a new thing here. Blah. Now the types of problems, and this got kind of erased when I was setting it up, and I apologize. So the first thing is you're going to do, did I get this backwards? Let me see. Yep, I did. So this one goes first. There we go. That makes more sense. In this lesson, you're going to write percent as a fraction, and then you're going to write the fraction as a percent. So here we go. How do you change a percent into a fraction? Well, what is percent always written over? Remember the first board I showed you? When we had 22%, how could you write that as a fraction? Over 100. So this would become 24 over 100. So to write percent, any percent as a fraction, you always write it over 100, always. Now, we have to simplify fractions, and you have to simplify this one as well. So 4 goes into both of these. So that, well, let's see, what else? 6, now 4 goes into it 6 times, and 4 goes into that 25 times 100. So my final fraction for 24% is 6/25. Now I have 55%. How do I write that as a fraction? That's right, 55 over 100. But we can't leave it like that. We have to simplify it. Divisibility rules tells me, what is that divisible by? Yes, 5. So it becomes 11 over 20. So that's pretty straightforward and simple. To change a percent to a fraction, you just write it over 100 and simplify it. Now, when we write fractions as a percent, it's a little trickier. Not too hard. You're going to divide. You're going to divide the numerator divided by the denominator. See how it goes? It goes in order. Numerator, and there's the division sign, divided by denominator. This fraction sign becomes the division sign. So 7 divided by 10. Now that becomes 0.7, right? Right. But that's not a percent until we multiply it by what number? Right, 100. So over here, we write it over 100. Here, after we divide, we multiply it by 100, and it becomes 70%. So what about this one? If I divide 1 divided by 50, what do I get? What do I get? 1 divided by 5. 20%, right? 2%. Which one is it? Well, here's another way you could do it. You could do proportions or similar fractions. If we know that 100 has to be in the denominator when we change it, and we know that all percent is written over 100, we could say, well, what do I multiply 50 by to get 100? 2. So 2 times 1 is that. So the percent would be 2%. That's 2 different ways that you can change a fraction into a percent. All right. I'm not sure I'm going to like this, but I'm trying it. Okay, now types of problems. Now you change 32% into a fraction, and you change 5/8 into a percent. Pause the video and do that, and then when you're done, come back and we'll go over it. Welcome back. So what'd you get? You should have put 32 over 100, and then you have to simplify that into the simplest form as a fraction, and 4 goes into both of those, 8/25. So 32% is the fraction 8/25. What about this one? Well, if you did, you couldn't do a proportion because 8 doesn't go into it evenly, so it would be a little bit difficult. So what do? We say, okay, I could say 5 divided by 8, 3, 4, 32. So that would be 675 point decimal, and then you multiply it by 100, so the percentage is 67.5%. Or if you wrote 67.5%, that's okay too. Now in the homework, you're going to have things that say all of that, and then you're going to have something that says, if I ask you to find 80% of 20, well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to change the percent to a fraction. So what fraction is 80%? It's 80 over 100. You can leave it like that, or you can simplify that. Doesn't matter here, because you're going to be able to use your calculators. The of you change to multiplication. My phone's ringing, I'm sorry. And then you change the 20 to a fraction of 20 over 1. Now here you can cross cancel because we're multiplying fractions. You could simplify 80 over 100, or if you say 80 times 20 over 100 and divide that on your calculator, because what you're doing is you're changing the percent to, you're trying to tell me what 80% of 20 is. So 50% of 20, so you can understand, is 10. 50% of 20 is 10. So what's 80%? So let's find out. This becomes 1. I'm going to do this. And then 5 goes into 80 16 times. So 80% of 20 is the number 16. 100% of 20 is 20. 50% of 20 is 10. And 80% of 20 is 16. So that's all you do when it asks you to find the percent of a number. Then it's going to say, so you try 30% of 42. You try 30% of 42. Pause the video and then come back. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. Well, the first thing you had to do is you had to change the percent to a fraction. In this case, I'm probably, to show you the, we can knock those zeros off and make it 3/10, change of to multiplication, and then we'll have 42 over 1. Right? Now, when we do this, I'm going to cross cancel. I get 5 and I get 21. So 3 times 21 is 63, and 63 divided by 5. And then what number is that? That is 12 and 3/5, right? 12 and 3/5 is what you should have gotten. Now you might have gotten 12.6. That's okay too. Probably that would be better because you want to know what number is 30% of 42. Well, 50% of 42 is 21. 50% of 42 is 21. And I want to know 30%, and it's 12.6. That's about right. That's how you can check it. Now we look at proportions. With proportions, in the book, it's going to say, use proportions to find the percent. So they'll give you something like 17 over 50, or 17/50 equals percent. Well, you need to know that all percents are written over 100. So what you're going to do is simply change the percent to x over 100. We've done that. We did that in proportions. We just didn't put 100 there. We did similar fractions. So you're going to cross cancel or use cross products property, or you could do similar fractions. Remember, there's all these different ways to do it. A proportion is a proportion. The bottom line, this becomes, I multiply 50 times 2, or I could go 17 times 100 is 1700, doing the cross products, and then equals 50x, and then I divide both sides, and I'm going to get x equals 34. Or I could say, what number do I multiply 50 by to get 100? I have to multiply the same number by 17 to get that. These are all problems that will be in the homework over the next couple of days, because we're going to take a couple of days to do this. And then here's the last type of problem that you'll have in the homework. It's going to say order from least, before the word problems, it's going to say order from least to greatest. I would highly recommend just putting everything into percent. It's really much easier to do that. So we have 63% already, and then we changed 3/5 into percent. So you could do it a bunch of different ways. We just learned it. You could say 3/5 equals how many hundredths? Does everybody see that? So 5 goes into 100 20 times. So I'm going to multiply this by 20, so I get 60. So this is 60%, and then 18 over 25 over 100. 25 goes into 100 4 times, so I have to multiply 4. So times 4, I get 72. So that's 72%. The directions say order from least to greatest, but you have to put it in the original form. The percent simply allow you to see which one goes first. So which one's the smallest? That's right, 3/5, not 60%. You have to write 3/5. The next one, you write 63%, and the last one is 18 to 25. That's how you show your work, and that's how you write the answer. You write it in the original form. Now, in addition to this video, you also have to read the section 9.1, which is on Cranet, and take notes in your graphing notebook. Add extra, add to this, add to these notes at the bottom and write book notes, because there's a couple of things you might want, it might help you, an extra example or something like that. And then tomorrow, then you will do the homework, and we'll do the homework on this section for Thursday and Friday. All right, I hope this was good. Have a good day, and I will see you soon.